So, we are going to reflect today on the Passion of Jesus. I have been reflecting with you last Sunday on the meaning of Passover and how it was very important feast for every Jew who were scattered all over the place to come to Jerusalem to celebrate the feast of the Passover, because they would remember God's mercy for them, saving from the slavery of Egyptian and bringing back to the promised land. And that's why every year they would celebrate that. But then Jesus here gives a new meaning for the Passover. It's a passing over from sinfulness, from the slavery of sin to righteousness and life eternal. In today's gospel, there are so many themes that we can raise and reflect upon. Jesus washing the feet of his disciples, which is a lesson of humility, love, and service, which Jesus wants us to do, continue doing in our own lives. But also Jesus is teaching them that they have to abide with himself. That is, he is instituting or institutes the Holy Eucharist, where Jesus is giving the body and blood of his own self for our earthly journey. And he tells his disciples to continue doing that in his memory. That is, he is also establishing the ministerial priesthood, and that's why today is the feast of every priest, because here is Jesus giving them this commandment to do it in his memory. And then the commandment of loving each other, to love one another. This is a new commandment. Of course, in the Old Testament, we see that God tells us to love him with all our heart, with all our mind, with all our strength, and love one another. Whereas Jesus stresses the importance that we love each other as he has done. Well, I would like to dwell this evening, and I will be taking a little longer time since we are not having washing of the feet, so I hope you will be a little generous to me to give that time, for a little reflection of mine. So we can pick up many themes of the gospel, but I would like to reflect with you, and what is very close to my heart is the presence of Jesus in the Holy Eucharist. Presence of Jesus in the bread, we call the wafer, and the wine. It's very important to know that Jesus is truly, really, consubstantially, transubstantially is present in the body, in the bread and the wine that we receive. Bishop Robert Barron, whom I think many of you know with his talks, listening, he says only 70% of the Catholics, not other denomination, of the Catholics believe in the real presence of Jesus in the Holy Eucharist. And that is a startling fact. That is something surprising. Because Jesus himself, now we have been living the life of, as a Christian. I do not know why this is not going well. Can you hear me at the end? Can you hear me at the back? Can you hear me? Okay. So this is very important to know why this is happening for us, that we have less faith in Jesus. In the Indian context, like most of the people who are, they are baptized in their very young age. But then there are also people who are coming from other denominations who do not give much importance to the Eucharistic presence of Jesus. So they come from other denominations, get baptized, but it takes time for them to realize the real presence of Jesus, to accept it more so. And so very important thing is why it is happening for us. We have been living a life as a Christian or as a Catholic for many, many years. And still we have doubts. We have no very strong conviction that Jesus is there present. How many of you believe that Jesus is present here? Anyway, I am looking at you. That's why maybe a lot of hands are going up. Anyway, this is our weakness, This is our frailty. We are human. But then it's not to empathize with ourselves. It is to ask, where is my faith? Every time Jesus met during his time to clean or to heal somebody, he asked the question, do you believe that I can do that? Yes or no? Yes. He asked that question because faith is very important. If the person do not have faith, Jesus did not do the miracles. Jesus just walked away. Because that is important to have faith. And so, there is a very a small incident that happened during the life of Jesus when he was taking the cross through Via Dolorosa, the bylanes of Jerusalem. He was walking with the heavy cross. And we know at one station of the cross, the women of Jerusalem come to meet him. Yes or no? Yes, the women of Jerusalem, they come to empathize with him. They come with their children. And they cry, some of them cry. And what is Jesus' response to them? Women of Jerusalem, do not cry for me. Rather, cry for yourself and for your children. Why that Jesus has to say that? Cry for yourself, not for me. Cry for your children. That has a reason. And this is a time for us to reflect that why Jesus says that. Mother and father, the parents are responsible to bring the children in the faith. If parents are not having faith, the children will never grow in faith. Believe that. And so if the parents do not come for the Holy Eucharist, the children will never come for the Holy Eucharist. The other day I was seeing beautiful incident that happened here. The father came and he genuflected, and the little child, small as this age, he genuflected with his father. Beautiful. He saw him and genuflected. This is what we are teaching our children by our own example. And that's why Jesus is feeling that pain, because many of the people had big expectations of Jesus. And here is Jesus coming, and they did not believe in him. And that's why Jesus tells them, cry for yourself, cry for your children, that you will be going far away, drifting far away from God. Carlo Acutis, you know that recently in 2010, 10th October 2020, Holy Father Pope Francis beatified or declared him venerable. This 15-year English-born Italian teenager was a computer programmer, but then he had very deep love for the Holy Eucharist. His mother had no much faith, but then this boy grew and his mother encouraged him so much so that he goes to the church. And this boy really was doing, whatever he can to spread this Eucharistic devotion to the people. And he is a model for the youth today. We need to follow Him. And so very important to think that Jesus is very often telling us that He is the bread of life. Chapter 6, John, Gospel of John, chapter 6 is a beautiful chapter. You read that. Jesus saying, I am the bread of life. Before He broke the bread at the Last Supper, He already told, I am the bread of life. Those who eat me will have the eternal life. And those who eat me will never perish. And the bread that I am going to give is my own flesh. That was very shocking for many of the people. And then many of them left the company of Jesus, went away. How can we eat His flesh? How can you drink His blood? And so many of them left. Jesus did not take back His statement, saying, my dear friends, come back, I'm changing my statement. No. He kept His statement. He knew what He was telling. He is the way, the truth, and the life. And Jesus knew. That's why my question for each one of you, if Jesus was to give the real flesh that appears like you buy meat in the grocery and the blood, would you be able to eat it? You tell me. You would be eating? People have doubt. Jesus knew exactly. That's why He turned this bread into His own body. And you are getting the bread and the wine, not the grocery meat like. And that is itself is enough to receive with faith, God, I believe in you. Because it is transubstantiation. It goes beyond the substance, the appearance of Jesus. Appearance is the same, but then the whole essence changes. There is power in the Eucharist. There is grace in the Eucharist. There is strength in the Eucharist. And Jesus every day gives us to nourish ourselves. And I would like to conclude these reflections with 3 incidents. The first one is happened in the 8th century. 8th century in a place called Lanciano in Italy. In Basilian Basil, St. Basil, his monastery, a Basilian monk was celebrating the Holy Eucharist without having faith. And so that bread and wine turned into real flesh and blood. It is still there, maintained till today. Scientifically, it is proved that it belongs to a person, AB positive blood. The flesh is the flesh that belongs to the tissue of the heart. It still remains there in Lanciano, in Italy. And so it is proved by scientists that this is belonging to the human person. And the blood matches to the blood group of the shroud of Turin. My dear brothers and sisters, it speaks about where is our faith. It's a question for us, where is my faith today? The second incident is, Saint Anthony of Padua. Saint Anthony of Padua, he is a miracle worker. He had many miracles at his, in his life worked. One is Ezzelinio de Romano, another miracle of the fish, miracle of the child Jesus, and the famous miracle is the miracle of the mule. Have you heard about that? Miracle of the mule? Read it in the internet. You get everything there. So, miracle of the mule is this. In a place called Mincini in Italy, there was a famous merchant called name is, his name I forget, but somehow Bonsolini, something like that. So just let me get it. His name is, the place is called Rimini, and this man's name is, I think it is Bonsoloni, something like that. But then this was a merchant. Did not believe in the presence of Jesus in the Eucharist. Why? Because he was influenced by the Cathar movement happened in Toulouse in France in the 15th century. What is this Cathar movement? Cathar movement is a movement that people did not believe in the goodness of material world and the presence of Jesus in the Holy Eucharist. And it was spreading like fire. It went to even in Italy, and then that's happened here where Saint Anthony of Padua was working in his ministry with the heretics. And this was a heresy, not to believe in the Holy Eucharist. And so what happens is that once Saint Anthony, who was jealous to get these souls back to God, is encountered by this merchant who was carrying his mule. And so Saint Anthony talked to him in different ways to convince him, but then he could not. And so the merchant told him, well, if you make my mule to bow before what you call the presence of Jesus, I will get converted. And so a date was fixed. And so after 3 days they would come. And so the merchant, he fasted, or he made his mule go hungry for 3 days, so that when he comes, at least he will get feed, and then the mule can get distracted. Well, Anthony came on the stipulated time and place. He celebrated the Holy Eucharist and came with the Holy Eucharist. He fasted for 3 days before that. He prayed and fasted for forgiveness of God, for putting God into test. And so he brought that Holy Eucharist with him. And when a lot of people gathered, he said to the mule, here is your Creator, bow before him. And the mule, without even looking at the fodder, the best of the fodder, came and knelt before the Blessed Sacrament. If that is the act of the mule, where are we? Where are we? Are we not able to look with faith Jesus present in the Holy Eucharist? The third one is recently happened. Many of those people who experience and encounter Jesus in their lives, especially men and women belonging to other religion. This was a lady from Pakistan called Nikki Kinsley. She gives her witness on the EWTN channel, and you can find it in the internet as well, NikkiKinsley.com. Nikki Kinsley was encountered by Jesus, and Jesus was after her all the time and getting her to him. And so Mother Mary was also helping Nikki to get to Jesus. Many times Nikki didn't want, but then Jesus touched her heart in the Blessed Sacrament in the Catholic Church. And so these are the few things of many incidences that take place. In India especially, people run to the retreat centers where they get healing, especially those belonging to other religions. So here I think I went out of time, but I would like that we also take time to reflect, why is my faith so shallow? Why is my faith so lukewarm? Why am I not coming closer to Jesus as he expects me? In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.